2 years ago, my SO and I found the perfect place to rent. It was a small tract of manufactured homes. The neighborhood was nice, and it was quiet, which for two college seniors wanting out of the noisy dorms was great. Now, because this was Arizona, and it was prefab houses, most of the folks that lived in our neighborhood were 60 or older, save a few. To our left, Sandy and David, an awesome couple in their early 60s, both retired postal workers, spent summers in Maine and winters here. To our right was Carol, a 40-something who supposedly owned her own home business. She looked like she was perpetually sucking on a lemon, and she was just off. At first, she would occasionally join my SO for a smoke on the porch, or if we barbecued with Dave or Sandy, we would invite her over. To say she was awkward was putting it lightly. We suspected maybe she was on the spectrum, though. We would be eating, and she would describe how her mother died a slow, agonizing death when a tumor in her throat burst. Or there was the time where she described in great detail her latest yeast infection. I kid you not. Sometimes I would work out on the porch. I had a small bench with a bar and some weights. One day, I was lifting when I almost dropped the bar on my neck. Leaning over me was Carol. "I could have snapped your neck like a twig," she mumbled. I sat up. "Pardon?" I asked. I said, "You could have really hurt yourself," she said. I doubted what I had heard, chalking it up to not hearing her correctly. But she had this smirk on her face. After that, I tried my best to ignore her. However, I had not told my SO my suspicions that maybe old Carol was a bit insane. I came home from class one evening, and my SO and Carol were on the porch. I went inside because I was coming down with something and just wanted to get into bed. My SO came in and told me she was going to her job. She worked nights as a dispatcher for the campus police. I was out of it, so she kissed me goodnight, said she would lock up the house, and that she would see me in the morning. Around 1 a.m., I woke up covered in sweat. I went to get a glass of water and drank it down. I saw my SO, or who I assumed was my SO, on the couch. I was so out of it that I crawled back into bed and fell asleep. The next morning, I woke up and my SO came in the door, telling me that work was crazy. "Wait, you weren't at work? You were here." She looked at me funny. I got a sick feeling in my gut. Fever or not, I knew somebody was on that couch. My SO wrote it off as a fever dream, and the house was locked up. I forgot about it. Life went on, and graduation was approaching. Things with my side of the family, well, specifically my egg donor, went badly. Long story. So, my SO was offered a job back in her home state of New York. So, we gave notice to our landlord. We let Sandy and Dave know, and one night we told Carol. She blinked at us, then got up and headed over to her house without saying a word. We just brushed it off as weird Carol. That night, we were asleep when I heard creaking coming from the living area. I sat up. Now my SO heard it too. She grabbed my arm. I grabbed the metal bat under my bed. "Who is there?" I asked. Whack. The door thudded. Thankfully, it was locked. My SO dialed 911. Meanwhile, I was watching as somebody was recreating the door scene from The Shining. except whoever was doing it was using a small hatchet. They were still making progress on the door, as it was pretty much hollow. The 6 minutes it took for the police to get there felt like a lifetime. I could now see the hatchet's tip in the door. Suddenly, we heard the cops tell somebody to put their weapon down. I had no idea who it was until we were let out of our place. On the couch in cuffs was Carol. We learned after that she had been in and out of jail. Supposedly, she had gone cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs from long-term meth use. She was arrested and charged with breaking and entering and destruction of property. They tried to get her on attempted assault, but she made a plea deal that included some kind of psychiatric treatment. I could never technically prove that she was in my place that day I was sick, but I am sure it was her. As we were moving, I was messing around with our storage space, really a crawl space under the home. We had never used it. Curious, I crawled around underneath the house and saw that if you kicked it hard enough, you could get the screen that led to the outside open easily. Who knows how many times she might have been in our place or under the house listening to us. We still keep in touch with Sandy and Dave. The unit Carol rented was sold. They haven't seen her since she was carted off to jail. Thankfully, we are thousands of miles away and never have to see her again. Chapter 2. Story 2. This is a fresh story, as it happened yesterday. So, I was on my way back home from the city center around 9 or 10 p.m., and I had a sandwich with me. I have to take this bus to get home, with maybe 16 stops until mine, which isn't a busy stop. Usually, only I and sometimes one more person get off there. I got on the bus through the back door, and the minute I sat down, a drunk guy came to me and asked if I spoke Hungarian. There are relatively a lot of beggars around here, so I'm not surprised. I said no, which was a lie, so I could avoid further conversation. He then started speaking to me in English and asked if I could give him some money for food. I said, "No, I haven't got any Hungarian currency on me right now." Again, that was a lie because I just wanted to eat my damn sandwich. This guy then proceeded to signal for me to give him a piece of my sandwich and almost broke a piece of it off. So I said to him, "Sorry, dude. No offense, but I just want to eat my sandwich." At first, he seemed pretty chill about it. But this is when it got interesting. He sat back in his seat 3 rows behind me, and I noticed he wasn't alone. He was with 2 equally drunk gentlemen. The bus then closed its doors and started moving. As I was eating my sandwich, I heard these guys talking crap about me in Hungarian, assuming I didn't understand it. Stuff like, "Man, this guy won't give me a piece of his sandwich. What a jerk. Man, I would so bash his head in with a glass. I'm so angry." I heard them agree on getting off at my stop so they could beat me up. I had never dealt with a situation like this before. So I started to think and came to the conclusion that my best option was to get off at my stop and run home, not by the usual route, because I could easily outrun 3 drunk 30-year-old guys. Meanwhile, because I was focused on what to do, I didn't touch my sandwich. Maybe a quarter of it remained. This got them even more mad. Hey man, he didn't even finish his sandwich. I bet he gets home and throws it in the trash. Then one of them said he had murdered someone in his dream. The other one said he had dreamed the same thing too, and that it was not a coincidence. I'm there like, surely they aren't that barbaric. But I was wrong. I heard them discussing my height, weight, and build, and agreeing that they could take me easily 3-on-1. At this point, I'm sweating and thinking about other options because my stop is coming up and we're heading into the suburbs. But the bus is starting to get empty. Then I realized I could pretend to get off somewhere and hope they got off too. So I decided to do that. At the last relatively busy stop before mine, I stood up and went to the front door, where 4 other people stood waiting to get off. The bus stopped, and I started to go toward the door, but stopped when they couldn't see me. Surprise! They got off. The guy started walking toward my door, calmly, because there were other people at the stop. But when he got to my door, luckily it closed. I checked to see if anyone got off with me at my actual stop, though. I think this could have gone so much worse, and I was lucky to get the best case scenario. So, crazy drunk guys on the bus, let's not meet again. And P.S. I ate the rest of the sandwich at home. Chapter 3. Story 3. Reading some of the stories on here reminded me of something that happened during my holiday this past Christmas. I went on a family holiday with my dad, mom, and brother in Tasmania, which is kind of like a big island to the south of Australia. I wasn't terribly interested in the trip. I just wanted to spend some time with my family. So I left all the bookings to my dad, and I never will again. He has his own Airbnb he manages, so I thought he would be able to find decent places on his own. When we rocked up to the Airbnb my dad booked, my first thought was, if I wanted to sell drugs, I would do it here. My mom wasn't impressed at all and was already telling my dad off for booking it. I didn't say anything. Maybe the inside was nicer. It wasn't. It was a dingy little house. The paint